Welcome, everyone. My name is Carrie Roseman. I'm a fine art portrait photographer, and we are here today talking to Lillian, who just had an incredible boudoir photo shoot experience in my studio and had some super amazing self-revelation, self-perception uh, growth. And we wanted to hop on here today to talk to Lillian about her experience. So Lillian, I mean, it's such an honor to work with you, and I know your story, but everyone else here may not. So, can you tell us a little bit about you and what made you reach out?
Yeah, I'm a trans woman, and I have kind of reached the point now where the physical part of the transition is basically over. Like everything that's going to happen has happened. So this is it. This is the body. This is the face. This is the, I guess not the hair. I can do something with that. But,
I love the hair.
I've more or less arrived, and I kind of wanted to mark that in some way that was meaningful. And I also wanted to kind of add to the relationship with my body, right? Because I've gone through all of this, I've come to know it in these new ways, and I wanted to find a way to celebrate that. And so I thought, well, make photography, and I asked around, and I got a referral for Carrie, and she's great. And I looked at her work. An email to say, like, here's what's going on. Like, is that cool? And part of what was so amazing is like just how like matter of factly cool it was. It was like, yeah, that's what we do. Like, we photograph women. You're a woman. What's the no problem? And that kind of like cemented it. So made the scheduled the time, and I showed up, and took it from there.
Yeah, I mean, and I just kind of want to talk about that initial reach out for a second here, because even in the initial email, it like you were almost apologizing for who you were, and you were just like, I'm trans, I don't know if that's a problem for you. And I'm like, why would you don't need my approval for who you are. Like, it's not a problem for me. You're a woman, we photograph women. Yeah, absolutely, come on in. Like, that's how we operate. And I'm glad that you immediately felt the inclusiveness that we have, and that we celebrate all different people, whatever they're doing, whoever they are. I wanted you absolutely to know that you had a safe space to be yourself and to celebrate that, and so that you could kind of turn that corner. It was like, I was like, she needs this virtual hug right now, let me just get in on that immediately. And I'm glad that you felt that, because it broke my heart
Yeah,
a little bit. I'm like, how much has Lillian had to apologize or feel like she's had to apologize for her whole life? Like, I was like, not in my space, absolutely not. Like, we are here to celebrate the crap out of you. Like, so
and we did.
yeah. Absolutely. So had never done like a boudoir shoot before?
No, nothing even really close to one. So it was all new, and like that part, like, I felt welcome, I felt included, I felt like, yes, we're doing this, it's going to be awesome. But I also, it was a lot of new stuff all at once. um, and that part it was scary, and it was really tempting to like continue doing that apologizing kind of stuff, to say like, oh well, I'm so tall, oh well, I'm so, la 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 la. Um, and so like one of the very first things was like, well, we're not doing negative self-talk here. That's ending. So like I had to intentionally keep that promise sometimes.
Yep.
Um, but I'm glad that I did, because it rubbed off. Like, it started to become more and more automatic, and I could trust Carrie. I could trust Keely. Trust that they knew the things that I don't know, and especially like one of the things, like especially transitioning late in life. Like, I'm in my 40s, and so like I've missed a whole bunch of the trial and error practice pieces that women tend to have, and not necessarily, not everybody, but like in general kind of tend to have. I don't. Um, So knowing that like we have a vision, we know what we're doing here, we're going to make it work, don't worry about it, we've got it, like I trusting that was really, really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were right, they did.
I'm glad that you had, welcomed that in, and because you had your second email back to me or whatever once we kind of booked in, and then you were just like, oh, I'm so tall, I don't know if you can work with this. And I was like, okay, I hear you. I'm not discounting how you feel, but the negative self-talk stops now. And you were just like, yes, ma'am. So that was very cool that you were just so on board, because as women in general, and it's just, or we're always apologizing all over ourselves for not being what we think is perfect, or what media or social, pop culture is constantly shoving down our throats as whatever the perfect thing is. And my mission is so that everybody kind of sees that they're perfect in their own way, like, and that, I hear from women all the time, oh, I've gained weight, oh, I'm getting old, oh, this, oh, that, oh, I'm just a mom. And it's just like, why are you constantly putting yourself last? And why are you beating yourself up all the time? That is a sucky way to live up here, because you're with yourself 24/7. So might as well be like, okay, I see you, I hear you, not today. Not today. Like, and it just does take this like level of self-awareness. I've done so much of my own personal work, and I am so actively excited to work with people who are going through a personal growth transformation, because it really is so much more impactful when you see this next level version of yourself, or changing your self-perception in some way where you're like, this is me. And I'm so
Yeah,
excited.
yeah. And it carries through to other things, like the shoot was about, appearance, it was about looks, it was about fashion, it was about style, it was about my body, all of these things. And, so like, okay, so I'm gonna stop apologizing for those things. But what I found is also like if I'm, in an email discussion at work where I would have said, well, I may be talking out of turn here, but this is what I think, and can go back and just delete the talking out of turn part and say, this is what I think. And there's lots of little places where that's where that's happening. And it's really nice to, to have that kind of little bit more centeredness, you know.
Confidence,
Yeah, yeah,
assuredness, able to hear your voice here, but then use it. Yes, it's these things
right.
take practice. But it thrills me so much when I hear this kind of feedback afterwards, where it's like, the review you wrote was so heartfelt and amazing, and I shared it on social media as well. But you had said, like, the thing about the negative self-talk, you said, well, now I feel I have very little use for it. And I was like, yes, that's where we want everyone to get. um yeah, I just love your story. It's such an honor to photograph you, and I am so excited for the future times I get to photograph you. But I do want to specifically ask, why boudoir? Like, what intrigued you about boudoir specifically?
Um,
And I should say, just to preface this, for those of you who don't know, boudoir is more like pared down kind of sexy photos, and what sexy means to each person is individual. So it could be a very casual sexy, it could be totally glammed up sexy, it could be more edgy sexy, it could be totally dressed sexy, it could be totally nude sexy. Any of these things kind of fall under the umbrella of boudoir. And what we do in my studio is very much more of like a modern boudoir, and everything's custom to each individual person. um, so that being said, knowing that you were going to be not fully dressed in front of the camera.
yeah, I- it was it was the point, it was a way of like of making it all of me, and also like me as like a sexy being rather than just like a successful project, which I am, um that too, but to be, like alluring, to be desirable, to find these things that are in there and, bring them out, because that was another place where I sort of felt like there was a shell that needed to be cracked, and it's a hard shell to crack.
Mhm.
Um, so doing something where it is going to be more of my body, more sort of on display, more, that type of thing. And also that there's going to be a record, like I can go back and look at them, and I do, to sort of remind myself, like, this is what I'm capable of. This is what
Mhm.
other people can see if I kind of let down a certain number of filters or walls. And it also, I think it had to do a lot with like making it really kind of undiscovered country, making it really something that I was having to push to do. Like a fancy, glamorous photo shoot would have been awesome too. And like some of what we wound up with, or some of what we did, is
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
it's like those ones I love too. But to also sort of go a step past that, it was scarier. Like I've got, some lingerie stuff. I had no idea how to even wear it. And now I kind of do. And
Yes.
and like not just like how it fastens, but like how to work it. And like that was something I wanted to be able to do. Like I wanted to have control of that. I wanted to be um I wanted to be in charge of that.
Yes. It's kind of like realizing this other part of your sexuality that you actually do want to like come out and share, and that, establishing like, what is this sexy, like what does that mean for me, how do I want to feel in that, like, and discovering that is a process for a lot of people, I think, because even though, people say like sex sells and whatever, we see it in movies and TV and everywhere, but for personally at home, like it's really not this open conversation a lot of time. And people generally aren't sitting around the tables being like, oh, what makes you feel sexy? Like, but we talk about that in the studio all the time because it is such a place of confidence and power for people when they can kind of tap into that. And I don't know, there's something just so tied to it for me, like as a person. And I mean, I'm just like wearing a black turtleneck and things like that. But when I throw on something lacy, I feel like a powerhouse, like completely. So it does change a little bit how I feel personally. And I've also been on the other side of the camera for Boudoir, so I know what it feels like, what you, as somebody who has been on that side, feels. It's very important for me to know that as well. But I'm glad that you were able to tap into that. So,
Yeah. And like, I went from complete babe in the woods, to like now, like for the next time, like what is it that I want? Like I wanted, like, let's make it a little more badass. Let's make it a little more, like let's shoot for, like, we're gonna do some more glamorous. Like let's shoot for Lauren Bacall level this time, or like I can grow from from what's already happened. Oh my God, Lauren Bacall. um,
whoever you're,
life goals.
yes.
But to be able to, like, it's not the end. This is not, all right, now we've captured, this is all it is. This is who I am and what I can do. But it's a stepping stone. It's a jumping off point. And I'm excited about that too.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. A lot of the time, the first time that I photograph somebody, they're like dipping their toe in the water. Like, can I trust her? Am I going to be the one that breaks the camera? Am I going to be the one that doesn't have any good photos? And I'm like, no, I guarantee we're going to make beautiful photographs to you. You just have to trust the process. And that's something else you said in your review, was you were just like, Carrie was so confident and sure, and the whole team was so sure that we were going to just like blow it out of the water. And I was like, yeah, of course we are. And it's you. And like, we're going to just make this amazing. And we did. but you had to almost go through the experience and have the proof of that so that
Right.
this one can be like, look at what amazingness we captured the first time. Imagine what we can do on for the second one. Now that you've gone
Right.
through it once, and now that you know, like, oh, hey, I'm here and I'm ready and I'm not even as nervous as I was before. Like, there's always a little bit of butterfly
Right.
the second time, but as soon as you get on set, then you just like, you
I've
know.
done it. Yeah. Yeah. You know, like, yeah, exactly. And to be able to like not fight, but like to push it. Like, here's what I'm looking for. Like, now you guys know how to do it, but this is what I see. Or, you know, like being able to have a little bit more of that kind of give and take too. You
Yeah,
know,
oh,
because
collaboration,
I was
totally.
I was very just sort of, here I am, take me in your hands and do. And that was great. Like, that was awesome that you did. And the next time, like, means the next time I can be more kind of active in it, sort of like, I'm excited about that too.
Yeah, and that's certainly excites us as well. I mean, sometimes I have clients who come to me with a very specific idea, and that's great. And sometimes I have clients who are like, I don't know, I trust you completely, do what you think. We still have a basic idea about somebody's style, and we want to push a little bit out of comfort zone because that's where the art is, you know, and
Right.
that's where the change happens usually. Like, when the way you see yourself is when we're just like, just hold this yoga pose for a second, and you're like, this can't look good, and I'm like, no, trust me, it looks amazing. And then you see him and you're like, I can't believe that looks great, and I'm like, yes, this is why you trust the
Yeah.
process. But
Right.
yeah, it's like, and then the collaboration piece, when somebody says, oh, I really want to be styled like this, or oh, I really like this lighting, or I like the feel of this kind of photograph, or whatever, or you know, I have this icon, Lauren Bacall, or whoever it is. We can create amazing art and photos from any of these sources, and the fact that our people like you want to be part of the process is very exciting for us. Um, because then it's like, because that means that you have become more confident and you are asking for what you want. And I love
Right. Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I love that you have your folio box of prints on display behind you. So obviously you can
Yeah.
see Lillian's very colorful. She has got this beautiful purple and pink hair. And so we made this folio box of matted prints for her, and her box is purple as well. And it goes perfectly with the style of photos that we created as well. And your favorite color, and purple is royalty. So I think it's fabulous. Um, all right. So here's a question for you, Lillian. If you
Okay.
were to impart some piece of wisdom or advice to somebody who's thinking about doing a boudoir shoot but is not quite sure, what would you say to that person having gone through it?
I think what I would say is, like, think of it not just as the, like, 3 hours that you're at the studio, or, you know, however much time, you know, that it's the whole thing. It's the, you know, and the whole process is what matters. The whole conversation over what is the mood, what is the style, what is it. You start thinking about what you like and what you really like, and what, you know, like, you think you like, but maybe you actually can take or leave. And that, you know, definitely go into it. Well, like, do it. Like, if you're thinking of doing it, do it.
Just
Um,
do it. Just do
but
it.
but yeah, yeah, you know, like, go into it thinking, like, you know, believing that it's going to be awesome on the other side. And then, like, remember all the little things that you're doing while you're doing them in the shoot itself. Because, like, when Carrie says this is how you pop your hip for the photo that I'm taking of you, it's the same way you pop your own hip when you're taking your photo of you.
Yes. It's I'm glad that you mentioned this, because the takeaways for the posing really is like, for selfies. Absolutely. We all have cell phones. We all take selfies of ourselves and with people we love and with groups of people. So it's like, yes, push your chin out, you know, be on an angle like this, tilt forward a little bit, you know, like all of these things do help in it. Like, I'm glad that it's kind of like a life skill, knowing,
Yeah.
being more body aware as far as like, you know, because so many people are like, oh, I take horrible selfies. Well, it's probably because you're like, you know, like you need to, there are a few key things. Everyone has like the ability to look great in photographs. I don't think certain people are born photogenic and other things. I actually kind of tout myself as a photogenic coach, because posing people and finding best angles with my artistic eye is very much my genius zone, and coaching people into that is
Mm.
is pretty fun. As you said, like we do,
Yeah.
you know, physical demonstration on set because people can see while they learn, but it thrills me that you had a takeaway from that
Yeah.
experience.
Oh, yeah. I like more than one. And like, it's not even just that, like, here are the steps required, and I'll do it, and okay, but like, yeah, it's just like, I can do it. I can, you know, like, I could get up from this chair and go do it if I wanted to. And that kind of confidence in the skill, or in the, like, not even so much of a skill as just like, that's another way you open this particular door and everyone sees what's inside. And, you know, you can open it, close it, however, whenever, however you want. And that's a really nice thing to carry around.
Awesome, Lillian. And how did it feel when, I know we're kind of bouncing all over the place here, but that's just how we do. How did it feel when you got to the studio and we got you in the hair and makeup chair? Like, what were you feeling immediately, and how was the experience of having your hair and makeup done? Like, what did you like about that? What nerves were you thinking?
Like, that was a moment of doubt too. And
Mhm.
it was also like a little bit of note taking, although I've got to say, like, that one, like, I've still got a lot to learn there. Although I do curl my hair sometimes now.
You did put some wave in your hair, yes.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It was also like curiosity, you know, like, once I had gotten to that point where, here we go, it's happening now. Um, you know, I do my own makeup every day, and I do, like, have figured out how to do it, like, good enough and quick enough. And I'm
you look great. I love it. Red
oh,
lip.
yes,
Yes.
yeah, good enough and quick enough. Um, so, like, what are we gonna see? What is she gonna do? Like, what is she gonna find? Um, and how much of myself am I gonna recognize in it? Um, like, a lot of that was what was going through, at the same time that I'm sort of taking these little, like, okay, she's teasing it right now, or okay, she's saying that, you know, uh, these are the colors that'll bring out your eyes. And I never even really thought about bringing out the color of my eye. Like, like, never occurred to me to try. Now, maybe I'll try. And um,
So you learned something, is what you're saying, in the hair and makeup chair, and through that,
yeah, I learned
kind of
something.
trust. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also like, being worked on instead of being coached to do. Like, you know, saying, like, do these following things and show up looking like this. And,
Mhm.
you know, having the sit down in a chair and we'll do it is also like, what do other people see? And, like, I'm always kind of curious about what other people see.
Mm.
Um, like, kind of everybody all the time. I'm like wondering, like, what do you see? Who do you see? What do you know? Because I've invested so much. Like, I have put so much time and energy into presentation. Um, so it was cool to see that in a much more kind of stylized kind of way.
Yeah. So that's all custom for you too. The hair and makeup experience, and my the team that works with me in the studio is very sensitive and aware to each person. So, you know, if you're somebody who doesn't do a lot of makeup, then we do a very natural, or somebody who wants a black eyeshadow, like then we'll do that. Like it's just very custom and individual. It's not like I think the like, we're not gonna like Lady Gaga your face if you're not like used to makeup.
Right.
So, um, but you know, for our more like people who love a lot of makeup, we can do that too, and we can build on looks. But yeah, there is a level of trust with that as well. Um, just because it's somebody who's working directly on your appearance, it's like, is it going to look like me? Am I going to like it? How does it feel? Because also the way that hair, makeup, at least for photo shoots, functions is that we do like about 30% heavier in real life so that it translates the same in camera as, does that make sense? So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
slightly heavier than you might do it normally walking around, but in camera it looks exactly like the level that you would do on yourself. So experience too. And what did you feel like when you were picking out clothes and doing the wardrobe consult, and what was that like for you when you were thinking about the shoot and, oh my goodness, what the heck do I wear? Like, what was that process like for you?
that for me was like, that was the hardest part.
Mm.
um because well, for one thing, um I figured out like a formula for how I get dressed.
Hold
And
on. The wardrobe consultation and the wardrobe planning, what was that like for you?
um the wardrobe part was the hardest part, partly because I, at some point along the way, found a formula that works for like day-to-day clothes, and like I ran that formula into the ground. I mean, the you would need NASA to calculate the number of possible combinations of jersey top, cardigan, and skirt that I've got. And I have not like really done a whole lot of like straying from that. And so suddenly to have all of these, like, I mean, like women's clothing is really complicated. Um,
No, it's
and then
like
like
no,
women's,
like
yeah,
so many styles.
yeah, and then like women's sexy clothing is even more. um, and I had no idea. And like as we're sort of going back and forth, like there's also a certain amount of shyness. Like I don't know, like I don't want to name too big a dream here, because what if it's not achievable, and like, so do I want to push past just sort of like friendly dork? Yeah, kind of. Like I would rather be a little more glamorous than friendly dork, but that's what sort of felt safe to say. So I was doing, like, there had to be a lot of kind of pulling it from me. um and that was the weird, it was also too like, so Keely would say, get such and such and this and that, and so I did. And you look at it in your hands, and uh, how is this gonna work? Especially like I am hella tall. I am really tall. Um, is it gonna even, is it fit the places it needs to fit? And like, sometimes not, but more often than I would have thought. Um, and so also all of the things that we ended up arriving at, like the things that we wound up wearing, or I wound up wearing, that she set me up in, all felt very unnatural. Like the face and hair, I could have gone out and like shown up for work with that face and hair, and people would have like, wow, you really did a number, but not, um, but not a fur wrap, or or like a big, really poofy, like shoulder to past the floor gown, and sort of thing. And so there was this very kind of like entering a fantasy kind
Mhm.
of element, and this realization that I've seen all of these pictures before of different, especially like because we did kind of a Hollywood glam kind of thing, but like seeing pictures of these really elaborate gowns and dresses, or these drapes, or like whatever, and realizing like it's all kind of like constructed. It's like she's not going to show up for work like this any more than I am. And that, and that was kind of eye-opening and cool too, and it made the whole thing more accessible. And I was like, well, you try something, and if it doesn't work, then don't do it again. It is like there's no real like harm. Um, so
Yeah, well, you know, we also do about 5 outfits for a shoot so that you can express different parts of your personality or different things that you might want to do. And it also creates a variety in the collection too. So it's like, what's the point of photographing you just in your everyday clothes? You'd be like, well, I just have a bunch of pictures like this already, like of myself in this outfit. It's like, we want to kind of go outside of that, you know, and be a little adventurous with it, just to see like how you feel about it, or push the envelope of the comfort zone, you know. So but we did, and I feel like you had fun in every outfit we put you in.
I did. Yeah, I really did. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't like changing into somebody else. It was just sort of like getting to be like, what if I were, you know, instead of like, it's hard to explain, but like the combination of this is real, I'm really doing it, and we're going to make it work, and this is sort of fantastic at the same time. That part was fun, and the just sort of like getting more and more used to the direction and more used to like holding a pose or any of that, you know, like just getting sort of deeper and deeper into it, and being a part of it instead of like an observer of it while you do it. That part was really fun too. So like by the end, there was a lot more. Um, it felt like, you know, and like I'm sure I probably actually needed a lot more specific direction than I'm remembering. But what I remember was just kind of like, now do this, and I would do it. Uh, um, and that feeling of just like, now do this, okay, do it, is nice to carry around as well. Um,
Yeah, it's not just like, okay, go over there and put this on. It's like, no, we have a stylist here who's going to help you get ready. Like, it's time, put this on, let's go. Like,
right, and detailed stuff too, you know, like what jewelry is going to go with this, and are we going to do like shoes or not do shoes, and like we had a back and forth about glasses, which
yep.
I'm glad we had, and I'm glad we both won that fight too.
It was a fight. It was just
No,
like
it was,
some with, some without. We wanted a variety.
yeah, but I'm glad that we heard each other
Mhm.
on that. Yeah, it wasn't really a fight at all, but that there were times when I said, okay, well, then we won't use them, and then when we said we will, because they fit and they don't, and that sort of detail piece, um, matters too, as much as the kind of having your say or having your voice or whatever. But like, there are some of those pictures where it's really nice to just have a face, and there are some
Yeah.
that it really is adding personality and character. So that, you know, and that was all being carefully thought about,
Mhm.
um,
I love
is
that.
a big part.
You've got like the funky style too, which I love because it's like that vintage cat eye kind of, and I wing my liner every day, so I love that personally. Um, Something else I want to touch on real quick, Lillian, is something you said again, and when you wrote to me after, and you said about the experience, is that sometimes you felt like you're experiencing imposter syndrome, like as a woman, pretty much, and that going through this experience really helped you step into like feeling like one of the girls. Um, which I thought was just an incredible compliment, and amazing to see that growth in you and you opening up in that space. And that is why we took the direction of the styling where we did. We were like, we have to put Lillian in some really beautiful feminine clothes where she can twirl around and she feels like one of the girls, like that's and to really express like some just super femininity. And I think I'm so glad that it was successful in that for you. And when I read that, I was like, oh, it just touched me here.
And and part of that was, I mean, you told me that's what you were doing, but you didn't exactly always necessarily the full, like, we're doing it because to make you feel like one of the girls. Um, so that what I experienced as I was going through it was easy to see as just the same as anybody else's, not like we're putting an extra layer of scaffolding in here, like, because the subtext of that is like, because you need it. And like, maybe I do and maybe I don't, whatever, but to not have that sort of feeling of like always being reminded of difference. Like, I know there's difference. I mean, people have difference, but like, to not be dwelling on it and to just be doing the same kind of, you know, the girl before me and the girl after me could have been doing exactly the same things and felt the exact same way. And that doesn't always happen, and it doesn't always happen as fully as it kind of did here. And so when it does, like, it really is kind of a magical experience because you sort of realize it's not something you can't watch it if you watch it the whole time, it won't happen.
Yeah.
But if you're, you know,
Well, I'm glad that you stepped into that. I mean, it's very much like listening and feeling into what does this person really need? Like, what does Lillian need? And maybe not. We don't. I don't have to explain that. It's just like this is going to be part of the experience, and she's going to experience it. Like, I have some women that I photographed who are like in the medical field. They're nurses, and then they're like moms of boys, so they're in scrubs all day, and then they go home and they're in masculine energy, and they're just in sweatpants, and they're just like they call me and they're like, I'm a woman, damn it. Like, I want to feel feminine and not wear scrubs or sweats. So it's like the same thing. It's like, oh my God, gowns, wear the gowns. Like, so
right.
it's just that I'm just using that as like a parallel kind of example of just listening to what somebody needs and having that as part of the experience. So I'm glad that you felt that way. And I don't ever want you to feel like an imposter is who you are, in real life. And obviously everybody's at a different level of growth, but going through a massive transition like you are, there's obviously like a lot of things that go with that on the mental and emotional and heart side, as well as the physical side. So I think it's so thrilling to see where you're at in the heart and emotional space now. And it's making like the heart mind connection. And it's like, so amazing to see. Absolutely. And I'm honored. I'm so honored to be your photographer, and I can't wait to photograph you again. And before we wrap up, Lillian, is there any last little piece that you might want to share, or nugget of advice or takeaways?
um and we hit a lot of it.
I think it was a thorough talk. It was good.
It was a thorough talk, but I think like the other piece of it, and I remember writing something about this. um like, this is not the only way that I could have found some sort of um self-actualization or whatever, like, or sort of celebration of myself. Like, this is not the only thing I could have done. It was one thing that I chose to do and did, and everything. um and an awesome way. And part of what made it that was that it was a working together kind of thing, you know, that we were, I was, well, back it up. You guys were um, taking the fashion and the makeup and the styling, you know, and the lighting and the angle and the posing and all, you know, all of that, and creating for me this image of myself as I am in a moment. And I felt like at the same time, like, here's a canvas that you all can work with to do that. And, you know, it's not like, it's cool to feel like I did something that also brings out the best in you guys in terms of the work you do and the vision you have and everything like that. That kind of reciprocal piece of it was not expected. I did not expect to feel that at all, and I really like that I do.
Yes, yeah. I'm glad that you felt very much part of the experience rather than just being like, you're gonna do that. You know, it's like
Right,
you should feel like we are holding your hand through the whole thing. And we take the scary out of being photographed, because a lot of people, like, you've never had a boudoir shoot before, you know, it's, a lot of people don't know what to expect. They just think like, oh, I'm not going to be very dressed in front of a camera, and that there's a person holding this camera, and then there's maybe other people there too, and am I going to like them, am I going to feel comfortable? Ooh, you know, like, we get a lot of these kind of things that are going on. So I'm glad that kind of, we were just like, okay, we're going to have your wardrobe consultation. You're like, okay, I have no idea what that is, but I'm going to go through that. Like, every step you trusted and did the thing. And I hope you feel like we wrapped you in love at every step, because that's what we wanted to do.
yeah,
Yeah. So it's really nice to hear that part of it, because it is a high touch service for this reason, like at every step, because a lot of people are, you know, scared of being photographed, and I totally understand that. There's a lot of photographers who don't take the time, and you know, I pride myself as an artist, and we always want to kind of operate from the heart first.
right.
so that's what we do. And I'm thrilled, I'm so thrilled that you took the time with us today to tell us a little bit about your story and your experience, and being open to share that, because that is, there are other people who are going through what you're going through and who may need what you went through. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's incredible, and thank you for sharing your story. And I think that's all for us today. So thank you so much, Lillian. I really appreciate you and your time, and I look forward to the next time. All right, bye.
Okay.